On September 11th, 2001, the world changed forever. 19 Al-Qaeda terrorists hijacked 4 civilian airliners, crashing them into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and thanks to the bravery of the passengers of United Flights 93, afield in Pennsylvania. In all, 2,977 people lost their lives. Now, 23 years later, we interview teachers around Auburn High School to see how 9/11 still affects us today.
Where were you when the 9/11 attacks happened?
I was living in Sarasota, Florida at the time. It was very interesting because the President of the United States, George W. Bush, was actually in my hometown. Air Force One was at the runway there in Sarasota Bradenton Airport when all of that went down. And so he was actually giving a speech at one of the elementary schools, Booker Elementary School, which is near the airport. And then when the information came in that we had been attacked, they actually rushed him out of that school to the airport. We watched Air Force One actually take off and leave. We later on found out that some of the pilots actually trained in Sarasota County in a town called Venice.
At the time it was called Beignet Cafe, and this was a long time ago, and I remember walking in and going behind the counter, and my boss was looking at the television, and shortly thereafter I found out what was going on. About a little later that morning, I went to my English grad class at Auburn University, and there was a discussion about what was going on, and I came more and more to the awareness of what really had taken place, and it was just basically a day of being in shock and sort of taking it all in, taking in other people's reactions to it as well, and just, it became just very real.
I remember on the flight back, there was a magazine in the seat back pocket, and I was just kind of flipping through it, like, I don't know, was it Newsweek or something like that? But there was this story about this guy with a name that was very unfamiliar to me. But the story was about how the government had lost track of him, and they were concerned about him, and he might be trouble, and they were concerned enough that they had posted like a $1 million reward for his capture, information leading to him. And I thought, $1 million for somebody most people have never heard of? Like, who is this guy? And I just remember thinking that was really weird. And I closed the magazine and put it back in the seat back pocket and didn't think about it again until about noon on September 11th, when the anchors began to say his name, because they were interviewing then people from, the government, national security folks, who were saying, yeah, this guy Osama bin Laden, he leads this group called Al-Qaeda. And I remember thinking, that's that guy. I guess they didn't find him.
We'd like to thank Mr. Perez, Herr Martin, and Mrs. Foster for lending their time and stories for this program. To quote George Bush, "None of us will ever forget this day, yet we go forward to defend freedom and all that is good and just in this world." Thank you.